we take a look at the so-called payroll loans phenomenon. These are loans that are repaid through deductions from workers' paychecks, and several countries in Latin America are experiencing a spike in those type of loans, especially in Brazil and Mexico. And that leads us to John Holman, who joins us live from Mexico City with the details. Hi, John.
Hi, Philip. So here in Mexico, this type of loan, this paycheck loan, is growing at double the rate of credit card growth. And this is really opening up a new opportunity for banks and independent financial institutions in the country, as you'll see in this report.
Eduardo Ayala covers Mexico City by foot, working as a delivery man between governmental departments. He earns the equivalent of $800 a month, so when he needed to carry out repairs on his house, he had to take out a loan. Eduardo decided on a so-called payroll loan, in which the bank takes repayments directly from his twice-monthly salary.
If it was up to me to pay back the loan, I might decide I couldn't pay 1 month. Then I'd get behind and end up more in debt. So it's better they just take it straight from my salary, and there is no problem.
Payroll loans have exploded in popularity in Mexico. In the last year, the number handed out increased by 85%. Other countries in Latin America have also reported a surge in their use, particularly Brazil. Banks like them because money comes straight from their client's paycheck, meaning guaranteed payment. And they're often the only way for mid to lower income workers like Eduardo to get loans without credit background. It's not just the banks getting in on the act. An industry of money lending firms has grown up around paycheck loans. Ilyas Ogovic founded Easy Money 2 years ago and says his client base is doubling monthly.
Only 3%.
But he warns that many of these separate financial institutions aren't subject to the same regulations as banks and often agree to take far more out of their clients' pay packets than they can afford.
We actually go into a lot of different companies where the employees already have 80–90% of their salary in other loans. And we try to explain them that that's not really healthy for them.
Whatever small-scale loan you take out in Mexico, be it credit card or paycheck loan, the interest rates are generally much higher than in many developed countries. They usually hover between 30 to 50%.
Eduardo paid back his loan a year and a half ago, but he's still paying off the interest. He doesn't know how much he still owes, but he knows his bank will be keeping count.
So as you can see from the report there, banks and unregulated financial institutes are harvesting large amounts of money in interest from these type of loans and other. In fact, last year, 57% of banks' profits in Mexico came from interest from loans, amongst them paycheck loans, which is obviously great news for banks and less good news for people like Eduardo, their clients.
Well, John, I mean, it's not the first time we've heard about these type of loans, but the interest rates that was in your story and some of the other things that I've heard is significant. Tell us a little bit more about the main concerns for consumers when taking on these type of loans.
Well, one of the main concerns for consumers, Philip, is that especially unregulated financial institutes that are popping up all over the place in Mexico now can make agreements to take up to 80 or 90% of individuals' salaries, which obviously means they've only got 10% of their salary to live on. Another concern is that people are worried that in time people aren't going to be able to be responsible for their own money. They're not going to know how to handle their own money. So those are the negative points. But you have to remember that 15 to 20 years ago in Mexico, people from mid or low incomes didn't have access to any type of small-scale loans. So this is a big advance to them, and it is a step forward.
So there are certainly things to look out for. What about limits to these type of loans? I mean, obviously, are you able to borrow more than what you would pay back, I guess, on a monthly paycheck basis?
Well, you can. One of the problems with them, especially for the unregulated financial institutes, there's over 150 now in Mexico, is that there are very few limits. But one of the limits in the amount of loans that can grow in this way is limited actually by Mexico's informal sector. There's 60% of the population, that's 30 million people, that are working in the informal sector. They obviously don't have regular paychecks, and so they're a natural buffer as to the amount that this type of loan can grow in the country. Until more people get into the middle class, start getting regular jobs, then this type of loan can increase even more, but not till then in Mexico and Brazil.
All right, giving us the good warnings. John, thank you very much. John Holman joining us live from Mexico.